Of the 63 royal tombs discovered in the Valley of the Kings, only one was found almost entirely intact. One. For a profession whose sole purpose was to guarantee eternal security, that's a failure rate of over 98%. But looking back, I have to wonder, was it truly failure, or was it something else entirely? My father's hands were not the hands of a farmer or a scribe. They were maps of canyons, carved from limestone dust and calloused by secrets. He was a sealer of the royal necropolis, an architect of oblivion, a profession that no longer exists because its purpose, its very soul, has vanished into the desert sands. We didn't live in Thebes with the merchants and priests. We lived apart, in a village purpose-built for us on the West Bank, a place the world now knows as Deir el-Medina. We were the servants in the place of truth. But why were we kept so separate, our lives walled off from the very kingdom we served? It was for the silence, the great secret. We were the men who saw the final resting places of gods on earth. We saw the gold, the lapis lazuli, the alabaster jars containing the Pharaohs' very organs, and then we made it all disappear. Our job began when the funeral procession ended. When the last priest had backed out of the tomb, chanting prayers to Osiris, we would step forward. The air would still be thick with incense and grief, a strange perfume for a construction site. Our work wasn't merely about stacking stones, it was a sacred craft, a final, holy act of concealment. We would construct the final wall, stone by perfectly cut stone, leaving no gap, no hint of a seam. We would plaster it, smoothing it over with the Nile's own mud. And then, using a wash of limestone chips, we would make it look identical to the rough-hewn rock around it, an umbilical cord of stone, cut forever. We painted warnings, of course, vultures with wings outstretched, cobras ready to strike, and hieroglyphs promising swift, agonizing death to any who disturbed the king's slumber. But were those curses truly for the robbers, or were they for us? A constant painted reminder of the price of a single whispered word. My apprenticeship began not with a chisel, but with an oath of silence sworn on an effigy of Anubis, the jackal god who guarded the dead. My father taught me how to listen to the stone, to know its grain, to understand how it would settle over 1,000 years. He taught me the art of the false passage, the hidden chamber designed to lead greedy hands to nothing but dust and disappointment. But think on that for a moment. How do you build a secret so deep that even you might one day forget where the true path lies? It was a strange inheritance to receive, not land or cattle, but a burden of knowledge, a map in your mind that could lead to unimaginable wealth, but to follow it would mean eternal damnation. We were paid well by the vizier, given rations of the finest grain, beer, and fish. We lived better than most common men. But what was the true price of our silence? We would see our neighbors in Thebes struggle, see famine in the land, all while knowing a king's ransom in gold and jewels lay just beneath our feet, protected only by our skill and our oath. The temptation was a constant shimmering haze heat on the horizon. My father used to say the most important tool we had was the final seal. It was a large stamp, carved from wood or clay, bearing the sigil of the royal necropolis, Anubis, crouching over 9 bound captives. After the false wall was indistinguishable from the mountain, the overseer would bring the sacred plaster. We would make a small, smooth patch, and with all the ceremony of a coronation, the seal would be pressed into the damp surface. Click. A sound swallowed by the immense silence of the valley. That was it. A god was locked away. Our work was done. But the most chilling thought, the one that kept men awake on hot desert nights, was this. The perfect crime requires the perfect knowledge. And who in all of Egypt had more perfect knowledge of the tomb's secrets than the men who built the lock? This is the uncomfortable truth of our lost profession. We were the guardians, the protectors, but we were also human. We knew the location of the hidden door behind the third painted goddess. We knew the real burial chamber was 40 cubits past the false one filled with pottery shards. Over generations, as dynasties changed and the memories of old kings faded, did that sacred oath hold as strong? When your own child is hungry, do the curses of a long-dead pharaoh still echo with the same terror? Or do they begin to sound like an invitation? The records don't speak of it, but it's a question that hangs in the air of the valley even now. Did the guardians in time become the wolves? The final act of a sealer was to walk away and forget, to erase the mental blueprint, to treat the sacred mountain as though it were solid, untouched rock. We would gather our tools, our footsteps, the last to ever echo in that sacred space, and emerge, blinking, into the brutal Theban sun. The world would have moved on, and we would return to our isolated village carrying a secret that could shatter an empire. Our profession died when the kings chose other places to hide, when the valley fell silent. The knowledge wasn't passed on, it was buried. It had to be. Our legacy is not in the tombs that were found, but in the silence of the tombs that perhaps never will be. Our greatest creations were not walls of stone, but walls of secrecy. So, was that 98% failure rate a sign of our incompetence? Or was it the inevitable, tragic outcome of giving mortal men the keys to heaven? Do you believe the tomb sealers held their sacred oath to the grave, or did the temptation of eternity's riches prove too strong? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more stories of professions lost to time, make sure to subscribe to the channel.